Hello, everyone, and to, welcome to Google Hangouts. Welcome to CKTV YouTube. We are here. I'm here with John Shortall. Welcome to the show, John.
Thanks, Ken.
Uh, what have you been up to lately? You enjoying the nice weather for a change?
Yeah, great weather today. A little bit sunburned, but sure, that's no harm. I need it.
You've been enjoying the outdoors then, have you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, well. I'm not as much big into the outdoors myself, but it's great to see the good weather. uh, have you went to see many movies lately, or what's the crack with the movies?
The last thing I saw in the cinema was Ant-Man, I think. Yeah, about 2 weeks ago,
Okay.
or 2 or 3 weeks ago. I was in Belfast. It was very good. I thought entertaining. Even though, as we discussed before, kind of getting a bit fed up with the Marvel movies. There's so many of them now.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there's like 2 or 3 a year, and it seems
Well,
like
as we documented on the last show, there's so many to come, and there has been so, especially the DC universe starting up now too. Some great stuff there, but as you say, it can get monotonous.
yeah, but they've finished phase two in the Marvel universe now, and then I think phase three is the planned last one, but that'll still include several new films. But Ant-Man was pretty good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It being set in San Francisco, I find that kind of interesting to watch movies now after living there for a year.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
But I was just going to say what you were saying, about the yet another Marvel movies, more Marvel movies, but even you still enjoyed Ant-Man.
I did, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so
Paul
it's not
Rudd
all
is Paul Rudd's very good in the role. He's,
bad.
he's I mean, he never really does anything but comedies. It's obviously not a totally serious film, but he brings a lot of his comedic uh, powers, I should say, or whatever, to the movie. So he does a good job in it.
Well, I would imagine the last film I would have seen Paul Rudd in before that would have been of course the Anchorman 2.
Right,
Which
that's going back at least what 2 years, isn't it?
but it was a year and a half, 2 years ago. But I was really impressed with him in that, along with the likes of Will Ferrell and of course the very funny Steve Carell. But
Hmm.
it is. I think the whole Ant Man thing is a brand new kind of it's a brand new hero coming to the big screen, and it's something that is very much something new for the superhero comic book fans.
Yeah, I just realized, Kieran, I totally forgotten. I don't know why, because it's on the agenda to talk about it. But the last film I actually saw was Mission Impossible 5: Rogue Nation. It wasn't that man at all.
We have that on the list to talk about. All
Yeah,
right, and I was hoping that you went to it because if it was just us review or previewing it, it wouldn't be as good. So that's good.
yeah, I've seen that, and it's another very good Mission Impossible movie. I don't know if it's as good as Ghost Protocol, but it's
Hmm.
very good film. So it is.
It is. Has is it like I was gonna? Is Ving Rhames reprising his role? Yeah.
Ving Rhames is in it now. This time for probably a good solid 20 minutes or so of
Okay.
screen time, whereas in the last film he appeared at the very end. He had maybe a 30-second cameo, and I think he got
Yeah.
about $5 million for that. So
Because
uh,
he's one of the few characters that was in the first Mission Impossible.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's been
Great.
in every single Mission Possible, but his role in the last one was virtually
Uh,
non-existent. And this
yeah.
one, him and Jeremy Renner team up. Uh, Jeremy
Renner
Renner
too.
still
Yeah.
has he still has his doubts about Ethan Power or Ethan, I don't know where I'm getting powers from. Ethan Hunt's methods,
Yeah. Yeah.
they're so unconventional, and he's such a risk taker. He has a hard time convincing the head of the CIA, which um, played by Alec Baldwin, that Hunt's his methods are not as crazy as they seem, and he's fighting the good fight or whatever. But they sort of play around with the mystery of whether Jeremy Renner is like 100% on the side he is, you'll see pretty much. But
Yeah.
Simon Pegg and Tom Cruise have then sort of a buddy movie together. Simon Pegg has a lot of screen time in this, and
Okay. Right.
the movie is a lot about their friendship. And also, like I said, the way that Jeremy Renner has to convince Alec Baldwin that Hunt is not totally crazy. They delve into the persona of Ethan Hunt a lot, and whether he's actually crazy or not. Because the things he
Okay.
does, like
That's very
stunts,
interesting because
unbelievable.
they don't all go on that much in depth.
Right. Yeah. I
I would
mean,
have heard a lot of mixed reports about Ghost Protocol.
no, I really enjoyed that.
I've seen the first three, but I haven't seen the fourth or fifth.
Definitely, you should get on Netflix. I think you have Netflix, don't you, Kieran?
Yeah.
Yeah, get on Netflix, watch Ghost Protocol. That's one where there's several really good set pieces in that, but the one that stands out is where he climbs the tallest building in the world, the Burj
Right.
Khalifa or something, in Dubai. And that's one of those stunts that he performed himself, where he's running all up along the top of the building, uh, just wires attached to it, but really amazing looking to see. And then this movie has the stunt that's been marketed a lot, where Tom Cruise is hanging on to the big jumbo jet airliner that transporting the military plane, transporting a bomb, I think, at the beginning. That's 30 seconds in the film where Tom Cruise is
Yeah.
hanging on the side of that. That's another amazing stunt. So
This movie on the trailer, I know that Hollywood, the way they put out their trailers, really, go to town with it and make it look like it's the best movie ever with most films. But I think this trailer looked very, very cool.
yeah, I mean, the thing about movies now is they're so good at making trailers that you never know whether the actual film is going to live up to the trailer anymore. Sometimes the trailers are better than the movie. They've gotten so good at crafting the trailer and making it suspenseful or funny. Although they all do tend to have a similar style. But
They do. Our good friend Rory McGarrigle actually said one day to me, he was trying to make out that every single Hollywood movie and every single movie made in America and all the trailers, they have a certain structure they all go by, and he was trying to say that every one of them was just, well, he's more into the alternative movies from different places and stuff.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty of people that have broken down the trailers and done comparisons. They all kind of have similar music, which the movie Inception, where Hans Zimmer did the soundtrack to that.
Yeah.
That used that very large sort of, I don't know how you would describe it, but sound effect where it was sort of like a brrrr, and they did that really loud every few minutes. And each action movie now seems to start with that sort of sound effect, and they all have
the ones from the Terminator type kind of gong as well. Start a
where it's like they're banging against metal.
Yeah.
But they all have white text and a black background, and trailers rarely do voiceovers anymore. The voiceover artists for the trailers, they don't describe what's the plot. It's text now.
Remember that guy who was the famous voiceover artist who'd done it for nearly all the big blockbusters?
Yeah, he died last year or the year before. I can't recall his name.
He really had that epic voice. I don't think you could really recreate that voice.
Yeah, there's some people that have great voices for it, but they're just not the same, and they're not as immediately recognizable as his was. I'd like to see you try it, Kieran. I think you'd do a good job. I'd like to see you try it.
Actually, we have a chance, right? Try anything. I could try that. Anything in the entertainment business, throw it at me and I'll try it.
Well, there you are now.
What was I going to say anyway? We've got, of course, talking about this week on the Movie Zone with John Shortall. We're talking Mission Impossible 5. You think it's worth going to see, John?
Yeah, it's definitely worth going to see. It's a very good film, and it's been critically uh, well reviewed and a box office success again. I mean, that's a really good achievement for a franchise that's been out for 19 years now for each film to be a hit. Because typically, 5 movies into a franchise, the box office is going to dwindle, but not the case here in Mission Impossible.
Well, that's
Tom
good.
Cruise, like he's 53 now. He seems to defy
53.
age.
Wow.
Yeah, he doesn't look much older, and he's still doing these incredible stunts. So it's well
I
worth going
think
to see.
put him 40. If you were like a normal person, if he looked like that, you would say 40.
Right? Yeah, yeah. He's
But
not a
then
normal
it's
person though.
normal people, really. Normal is a word that's, I think, overrated.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? There's another big film that we're going to touch. Yeah, at the start of the show, you would have seen. I don't know if you've seen it or not. We tried to make you see it, but a picture of Roddy Piper, who is the man who just passed away last week, and a famous wrestler, a famous actor. He was on a few films. You wouldn't call him the top tier of actors, but he was on a few catchy films, cheesy films, B movies, and then he was in, of course, The They Love, which is a cult classic, John, sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm a big John Carpenter fan. John Carpenter, he's most famous for working with Russell Crowe in a few of his movies like The Thing, Escape from New
Yeah.
York, Big Trouble in Little China. But this is another one of his movies from the late '80s, 1988, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's the only film I know Roddy Piper in. Actually, I've not seen him in any other movies. I know him from the WWF early days,
Yeah.
and I know him from They Live, and
A
also
film called Hell Comes to Frogtown, and a couple of films like stuff like that. The stuff that's not really recognizable much.
yeah, I've not seen those now actually, but They Live, I watched it for the first time probably a couple of years ago,
Mm.
and it has a bit of a cult status. It's something people might be familiar with in a way, but they probably don't realize it because
Yeah.
there's a lot of T-shirts out there and there's a lot of wall murals because the film was about an alien race that came to Earth and they were secretly controlling everyone through subliminal messaging.
Yeah.
There was
And
only one way to actually
it
see
was
it.
kind of like government and Illuminati related too, wasn't it?
Exactly, yeah. But these aliens, they're all sort of all over pop culture, but it's not. Um, when I say there's T-shirts and stuff like that, there's be a picture of the alien, but it
Yeah.
doesn't say John Carpenter's They Live or anything. So I'd say a lot of people have seen little bits and pieces of this film, but not actually
Uh,
been totally aware of what it is because it's more of a cult movie.
yeah.
But
Piper's character in the film too is very, very good. Very, very cool character, isn't it? A few of the one-liners were excellent there.
yeah, he's basically a drifter, I think, and he comes to LA looking for work, and he starts some work in construction, and he meets up with this underground group that are aware of this Illuminati style alien race that are controlling everything, and what they want to do is keep people um, to keep them underachieving, basically, because messages they're telling them are consume or don't challenge anything,
Yeah.
just watch TV, eat your food, shut up.
Yeah.
uh, so he discovers this group that are out to destroy the alien race, um, because they're judges in society, they're police officers, they're politicians. The only way to discover what they look like, how to see them, is to put on this cool pair of black sunglasses. So
Yeah. Yeah.
he gets hold of the sunglasses, and he meets this other character called. I don't even remember what the character's name is, but he's an actor called Keith David.
Okay.
Uh, yeah, are you familiar with him, Kieran?
Keith David. Yeah, he's African American actor, is he?
Yeah, he is.
Yeah,
He's
I know
other
him.
films. He's in. He was in The Thing with John Carpenter too, and he was in Chronicles of Riddick, and There's Something About Mary. Maybe not his most famous roles, and
Another
just a
great,
few that I recall.
another great John Carpenter movie that I would like to bring up, which was excellent, was John Carpenter's Vampires.
That one I didn't see now, but
With
I'm familiar with it.
yeah, very
Who was
good.
in that again?
James Woods was starring in it, and
Right.
in the sequel, which was okay, was actually in that one was John Bon Jovi.
Doesn't sound okay, good.
Well, that was the sequel. Most
Right.
sequels aren't as good as the originals, but
Yeah.
arguable with a lot of stuff. But,
They Live though came out in the late '80s, and it's definitely got that '80s kind of style and
yeah,
um,
I was doing some research
personality.
on They Love today, and I came across this poster online in one of the websites, and it was They Love Two. They are what was it? They Still Love, and it was called, and it was like Kurt Russell and Pam Grier and all were on the cover of, were like caricatures on the cover of this thing,
Yeah.
but it actually was a made up poster for what could be.
Right. Wishful thinking from some.
Funny,
They
it
Live
actually
fans.
looked like a cool sequel too.
Yeah. One of the great scenes in this movie is where Keith David is arguing with Roddy Piper's character, and this scene goes on for at least a solid 5 minutes, and I think much of it must have been improvised, but they're just kicking the shit out of each other. It's one of the longest fight scenes I've seen in a non kind of terrible B movie, but
Aye.
they're really just hammering each other, and I suppose Roddy Piper being a wrestler, he would
Yeah.
he would have really enjoyed that. Keith David, I don't know how much of a fighter he is, but they're kicking the crap out of each other in this parking lot, and the reason being that the two characters are as stubborn as each other. And Roddy Piper wants Keith David to put on the sunglasses. Keith David refuses, so he wants him to look at the world through these sunglasses so he can
Of
finally
course, these
realize.
sunglasses are being like they're like the like thing in the movie that really reveals all, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. So he finally gets him to put on the glasses and then gets him on the side, on the mission to take down the aliens. So can we
Yeah.
try a trailer, Kieran? I know it might not work, but it would be good for
Aye, we'll
people to
try
see
it.
what we're talking about. We have I'll send you the link to it, right? And you
Yeah.
can try it. There you go. So you should have that now.
On I should have it where? Oh,
Masters. Yeah.
we see if this works. Oh, we play it. So we're playing it. We haven't tried this before, folks. So just bear with us. So we're playing it on just sound, is it?
I'm just seeing sound at the moment, yeah.
They have recruited their kind of power. They're running the show. Wake up! They're all of us! All of us!
Still sound here. I can't see anything.
Are safe as long as they are not discovered. I don't know what they are or where they came from, but we gotta stop them. Stay away from me!
All right, bit of technical difficulty there, folks. So we're gonna on the this part. No, actually, we're not going to bother right now. We're going to try and find out if we can do that in future episodes. But we're just going to
Yeah, back to the drawing board for that.
huh?
It's back to the drawing board.
Back to the drawing board with that. Yeah,
We'll figure it out though.
but you see, it's to do with copyright as well on YouTube and stuff. And they don't
I'll
want
just say you don't own it, Karen. I don't own anything.
Okay. You also had a clip there from MI5, didn't you?
Mission Impossible. I didn't actually. I had two clips. One of them was the trailer to They Live, and the other was the famous. Well, we talked about the famous fight scene, but another famous scene is where he goes into a bank with a shotgun in hand and the glasses on,
Yeah.
and he has the line, "I'm here to chew bubble gum," or kick butt and chew bubble gum, and then he says, "I'm all out of bubble gum." So I think that line became quite infamous and took on a life of its own.
There's actually Piper actually had a range of soda pops or like soft drinks in America and in Canada that actually was called something like that, bubble gum or something like that, chew bubble gum and kick ass or whatever. No, it was called all out of bubble gum. They called it.
Right, right. Yeah, maybe you can talk a bit more about his WWF career, Kieran, because although I remembered, you probably watched him
I've
in a few
actually
fights.
I've done a tribute show to him anyway on YouTube last week, but we'll talk a wee bit about. He was he was basically the biggest guy for the microphone. You know, he was the main. He was ever on the mic, delivering promos and whatnot.
Yeah, he was one of the original trash talkers, wasn't he?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant. He was great at getting the whole crowd going, you know, and it was probably the best. I wouldn't. I would enjoy Piper. There's a lot of people nowadays. It bores me to death some of these promos, but Piper's promos were amazing.
Yeah. He wasn't very old now, 61, heart attack. But I read a story on the BBC website, and they were saying why do so many actors, or sorry, not actors, but wrestlers, why do they die young? And it's not all to do just with the profession, but I think that the WWE said that a lot of the wrestlers in the 1980s and the late 70s, they made a lot of poor lifestyle choices, and they basically lived
Yeah,
like rock stars outside of
yeah.
the ring.
What I would that's a very hot topic, and it's a topic that you never get old. You can debate it till the cows come home, as they say. But see these, see them boys in the '80s. They were on uppers and downers. They were on the steroids. They were on the cocaine. They were on the heroin. All the different drugs. They just they were on painkillers to get by every day because they were on the road over 300 days a year. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So it's
Well, hopefully, I mean, we'll start to see a trend where there these wrestlers are living well into their 60s now instead of
yeah.
dying,
There was
today's modern wrestlers.
some of them died in their 40s and 50s as well. You know, it's not look at Benoit, but then Benoit's was of course the murder suicide a few years ago, and that was
Yeah,
great.
he was definitely on steroids. I think that definitely affected his brain.
Said that he had a brain of an 80-year-old man, like that had Alzheimer's. So there's a really sad fact for you.
Right, yeah, I remember reading that. But yeah, you're right. That's a bit off topic. We'll get back to the movies now.
But okay, well, another few things I wanted to bring up with you. Movies. We're going to talk a bit now about. You mentioned Netflix earlier on. You watch much? You have Netflix, or do you watch much of the streaming services?
I don't use Netflix a whole lot, Kieran. I do have the option of using one of my good friends gave me a password which I can log in, so I don't have my own Netflix. I watch it every now and again, but
It's cool, isn't it?
yeah, it's very good selection. I'm one of these people that has too much to choose from, and I spend like 20 minutes thinking what to watch now.
I'm the same. I think
yeah.
all us movie buffs are probably like that.
Yeah. Have you watched anything lately?
I've been watching. I've got into a real. I've been wanting to look. I'm a kind of person, right? If I go into a movie and it's a horror movie, I can't sit through it. I have to leave. I told you the stories before. I was in that one. What was it? It was one of them mad films, and I left 20 minutes into it. But like, luckily enough, the girl outside let me go into another one. But it was I find the horrors very hard to watch. But I'm the kind of person, I love the whole concept of some of them, and I really want to be able to watch them, but I can never get through the first half hour.
Right. Do you have nightmares or something, Kieran, or what's the
It's
problem?
just, I think it sticks in your mind for a while and just does your head in. But I really like the concept of the makeup they use and the great kind of storylines on them, but it just it's very hard to. But I have been getting into this last while on Netflix. You know the real B movie, nearly a B movie, but it's straight to Netflix. But you know the disaster movies like Sharknado and Big Ass Spider stuff like that. Really love that stuff.
Right. Yeah, they've
It's not Oscar
become,
material, but it's stuff that kind of
they've become very popular now in a way that no one really had anticipated. These B movies were basically rip-offs of. I think the studio that came out with Sharknado was called The Asylum, and they seem to have
right.
a movie that coincides with a big release. They probably have one for Ant-Man. They probably call it Beetleman. I'm just guessing off the top of my head because that's the kind of thing they do. When Snakes on a Plane came out, they had
Well, they've
Snakes on
taken
a Plane.
they took out Sharknado 3 there, so they've done three of them, but it premieres in sci-fi every time it comes out. You know, on the American channel Sci-Fi.
Right. Yes, Sharknado was one of their rare original ones. I mean, there's nothing you could really compare that to, kind of in terms of big blockbuster wise. But it was such a ridiculous idea that it seemed to make a lot of people laugh. I've not got around to watching it. I'm not against watching it. I just haven't
Yeah.
watched it.
Like you watch the likes of that, right? Which is very well done. You know some of the scenes in them movies are just as good as what you would see on the real big blockbusters.
I know.
Oh, but they have some.
I tend to disagree, Kieran. I tend to disagree.
They have some big names in these films as well. Like
They've sort of has-beens like Tara Reid in the Sharknado. You know,
but you're
some
looking
actors,
at Ian Ziering
some
from
actors kind of.
210.
Sorry.
Ian Ziering. There goes another pen. Ian Ziering from Beverly Hills
Ah,
90210.
come on now. He's a total has-been now.
But he's only in it. Like he's not old. Like
Aye, but that's when he was popular. He was probably in his late teens or his early 20s or something.
well, I think he's he's. You ever look at him and watch his mannerisms in the films? Very like Bruce Willis.
Right. Sort of squinting a lot, is he? Or
Kind of
brooding?
trying to be that kind of a hard man look to him. Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah. But there's some actors you'll find their career goes up and down, and
Yeah.
there's stages in it where you think they're totally, um, well they're definitely past their prime, but they're never going to be in the biggest movies, the A-list movies again. Michael Madsen, for example, he's going to be in the new Quentin Tarantino movie, The Hateful Eight. I remember him
That's
on.
what I wanted to bring up actually because it looks very good.
Yeah, he was in Celebrity Big Brother in the UK a few years back, and I mean, you talk about a former A-list actor hitting the lows of
Celebrity Big Brother. Wow.
yeah of reality TV.
I heard a rumor there recently as well that going back to wrestling back for a second, Hulk Hogan was going to be asked to be in that, but because of the latest controversies with the racism, he doesn't actually don't think he's going to be in it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he probably doesn't need the money either. So
No, but he was in the spotlight anyway with the whole being involved with WWE recently, but that's all gone now.
that's all gone now too. Yeah. Sorry, it's hard to. There's a lot to talk about, isn't there? It's hard to keep track here.
It is, isn't it?
What were we talking about? Sharknado.
We're talking about the Hateful Eight there, and going off the topic of Sharknado and these mad films.
Yeah, Hateful Eight should be very good. I liked the last one, Django Unchained, a lot. Particularly because it's a Western movie, and I really love Westerns.
Westerns are actually really, really enjoyable. Something that, not something you would turn on every day, but something that you like to watch now and again as a kind of a wee attraction.
It's a forgotten genre. I mean, they don't make near as many of them now as they used to.
Yeah. What was your favorite Western? If you had to pick a Western, what would it be?
Of the modern ones, definitely 310 to Yuma that came out in 2007. It was
That
Christian
was a good
Bale
one,
and
wasn't it? Yeah.
Russell Crowe. Loved that.
Bale was in that, wasn't he?
Yeah, Christian Bale and Russell Crowe were the two leads. Of the older movies, there's one called High Plains Drifter. It came out in the early 70s and it was
Right.
directed by Clint Eastwood and starring Clint Eastwood. That was an excellent film. It's one of the sort of an R-rated western, and that was around the time of his Dollars trilogy as well, which they're also very good. But
Yeah, the
High
Dollars
Plains,
trilogy was hard to beat. Yeah.
yeah,
I enjoy the well, that one that was out. I loved the last Tarantino one, of course. That was excellent. Django Unchained.
yeah, and he's
That
not
was
featuring.
my favorite
He's
western.
not. Yeah, I suppose that would make it into my list if I was making a list of favorite westerns too.
You could argue it's not really a western. It's more of a modern kind of a hyped up type of western, but or like like a modern film that takes the western twist. But I think that makes it a western. You know.
Well, it had a lot to do with slavery as well, which most other western movies don't touch upon at all.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Because they try and glorify the white cowboys and that, don't they? And the white they doesn't want to go down that other path.
yeah, what was I going to say there? Can't remember now. Oh yeah, Christoph Waltz. He's not going to feature in Hateful Eight, which he's an excellent actor, but
Was
to
there
be
a
in
rumor he was going to in the first place?
there could have been. I'm not sure, but he got the Oscar for Inglourious Basterds with Quentin Tarantino. Then he was again in Django Unchained, and he played more or less the same character in terms of his on-screen presence, except the difference was he wasn't a Nazi. He was actually a good character in Django Unchained, but
Yeah.
very good actor, good characters. But I think to feature him 3 times in a row playing a similar sort of role would not have been that good. So
When you think about the stuff that Tarantino has come up with this last 5-6 years, it's amazing that he's touching on nearly every genre, isn't he? He's going from one genre to another so smoothly and doing them all brilliantly.
yeah, I mean, there's plenty he hasn't done. He hasn't done any romantic comedies or sci-fis or horrors or anything. But I think he enjoys them type of
That's
films
the thing about what
as a viewer, but not as a filmmaker. You know, I remember him talking once on Jonathan Ross or something, and he was talking about how much he enjoyed the Sandra Bullock and Ryan Reynolds romantic comedy, The Proposal. You know, which
yeah.
you would never expect him to make a film like that, but.
But he's a kind of a personality you wouldn't put it past him at the same time.
I'm sure he'd do a good job anyway if he tried it.
Yeah. He's a perfectionist. If there's any perfectionist, I think it's him.
Yeah. We're sort of getting away from what's in the cinema now, Kieran. So maybe we'll go back to.
Yeah, no problem. I like to delve into all movies, though. That's what be my guest there and have a wee chat about stuff.
One thing I wanted to bring up was this new Fantastic Four movie. Are you going to see it, Kieran?
I don't know, John. I wasn't fussed on the movies from 10 years ago. I thought it was very bad. It was like the weakest link of that whole Marvel franchise.
Right. Yeah, they definitely weren't well received, and I think they did okay financially, but they weren't blockbusters or anything. Not enough to justify being continued. The second one, The Rise of the Silver Surfer, that was better than the first, but you're right, they weren't particularly good movies.
Name who were the 4 actors? We're trying to think of the 4 main
Chris
characters.
Chris Evans was the Human Torch, which it was funny. He went on to play Captain America, then another Marvel character.
And then
Jessica
Alba, wasn't it?
Yeah, she was the Sue Richards, the Invisible Girl.
Yeah.
Michael Chiklis, the
Mr. Invisible,
bald guy. He was the Thing.
The Thing.
And I can't remember the name of the British actor. He's sort of a posh English actor. Ian something. He played Reed Richards, with the the wings, the grey hair at the side, Mr. Fantastic or
Oh,
this
that's
special.
fantastic.
Yeah, but
Where am I getting Mr. Invisible from?
yeah, he didn't have the invisibility power. But the
Right.
reason I brought up this new one is, well, it didn't look good to me originally. The cast seemed like an odd choice. Uh, they're trying to again go for the darker tone. It seems like very few movies can be made these days without making it serious and darkly lit and moody and that kind of thing. But the movie's getting terrible reviews. I don't think it's doing well in the box office either. The
Right.
director, when the director's the guy who made Chronicle, which came out in 2011 or something,
All right.
2012. That was sort of a superhero movie in its way. That was very well received anyway. But he came out and had this tweet saying, a year ago I had a fantastic version of this film, but you'll
Right.
probably never see that. So I think they were ordered to do a lot of reshoots. And if you look at some scenes in the movie, the actress who played Sue Storm this time round, she's wearing a really terrible wig, because she had her hair a certain length first time she was filming it. It grew out, or she cut it or something. Several months later, they were ordered back to do reshoots by the studio against the wishes of the director, and now she's wearing this awful, awful looking wig in it. So that's an example of you can see how the film was being tampered with by the studio Fox that were
That's something you
budgeted it.
don't do when you have a license to do such a high budget blockbuster. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I thought the casting choice was odd anyway. I didn't really enjoy it. They're not the actors in it are not particularly high profile or well known. But
Uh,
I think it seems like it's a terrible failure for the
yeah,
studio
yeah.
because they were talking about as well making a crossover between Fantastic Four and X-Men. That was
That would
planned.
profile a good bit.
Yeah, but whereas the X-Men movies are very popular and financially successful, this is a total flop, I think.
Because they're both under the governing body of Fox, aren't they?
I think so, yeah, but they're still Marvel at the same time.
That's right. Yeah.
So it seems unlikely that they're going to be able to do that now.
Wouldn't it be great if they could bring the X-Men even over to the whole Avengers world?
Yeah, I don't know how they do it now. I don't know which characters they implement into it, but Spider-Man's going to be in the next Avengers. I know that.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting too. Yeah, but a very young Spider-Man apparently he's going to be in his teens.
The actor, yeah, that they chose, I watched one of his videos on YouTube, and it shows him doing a bit of parkour, jumping around, the backyard, doing these backflips and stuff, which is great for Spider-Man, but
Yeah.
I don't know how necessary it is considering that it's mostly all CG swinging between buildings and stuff. But
John. We've drifted into the comic book world again. How do we get away from drifting into the superhero world?
I know how much you enjoyed, Kate.
The superheroes over the movie world, aren't they?
Yeah.
Just engraved in our minds.
Right. Well, what else is in the cinema? You wanted to talk about this film right along too. You seem like you're excited about that. Can't say I am, but
I watched the trailer there last night, and I thought it was I think there's a lot of prospect there as far as it's going to be basically the character Kevin James.
Kevin
Kevin
Hart.
Hart's character is getting married to the sister of Ice Cube, and
Right.
they're on the beach. And they're on this, and then there's a Japanese actor as well in the film. Correct me if I'm wrong, and don't call me racist. But I don't. Maybe he's from a neighboring country. I don't know, but don't kill me for that. But there is an Eastern Asian actor. Let's see. In that film as well, and he's in a few films lately. He's a very funny actor. I couldn't name him offhand, but he's going to be like the Joe Pesci style type character in this. And then the two boys are on the car and they're going around on the beat and stuff. It's going to be it looks good this time, second time out. The first one was very, very funny.
I know who you mean now because I've just looked it up on IMDb. It's Ken Jeong, I think. I hope I'm
Yeah.
pronouncing that correctly. He's in all the Hangover movies, and he's in a lot of those Judd Apatow comedies.
Oh,
Yeah, he's a very funny actor. Um, actually, was originally not an actor. He was a doctor,
yeah.
and he sort of was interested in comedy or stand up or whatever. So
Right.
he he was still practicing as a doctor while he was making movies like the first Hangover and stuff. But I don't know if he does that anymore. He's that popular now, but yeah, he's
Right.
very
Okay.
funny. Can't say I'm particularly a fan of Kevin Hart's. I've never really watched him in anything, but
He is funny. I think he's funny.
doesn't he doesn't really appeal to me that much from what I've seen of him. I wouldn't run out to watch any of his films, you know. So I've not seen the first ride along.
No, but I enjoyed him in Grudge Match. I thought that was very funny.
Actually, no, I have seen Grudge Match. So that's how unmemorable he is to me.
But you know what? I have seen that he's going to be in, and I think it's going to be funny as well. He's teaming up with The Rock in a film.
Right, which one?
See, that's where I would have to look it up. But it looks like a good film. And, like they're buddy cops again. You know, they're all buddy cops in these films. And I think the whole buddy cop genre is getting popular again. You know, which is good.
Yeah. Um, I think.
All the great action movies of the 80s and early 90s were buddy cop movies. A lot of them.
Yeah, they were. One film that I love, one of my favorites, is Midnight Run, and it was on
Yeah,
ITV2
yeah.
twice in the last month, I think. Um, Robert De Niro's in it, and the guy, can't remember the name of the actor, but most people, I think, our generation would know him from the Beethoven movies.
That's right. He was the dad, wasn't he?
Dennis Farina was the mafia boss in that too. He plays the bad guy.
Right, yeah.
Uh, and this very tall uh, African American actor, Yafet Koto, I think is his name. He was
Yeah.
he was the first black Bond villain. I don't know if there has
Oh,
been a black Bond villain since then, but he was in Live and Let Die, and he was an alien. He was also an FBI officer in Midnight Run. That was a
okay.
hugely entertaining movie where Robert De Niro is a bounty hunter, and he has to get. I wish I could remember the name of the actor, but he has to get this Charles Grodin, I think, is the name of the actor. He has to
Okay,
get
yeah.
him from New York to LA, or the East Coast to the West Coast, within the next few days because he's he's got a bail bond on his head or bounty,
Right.
and Robert De Niro is a bounty hunter, so he's
Yeah.
stolen some money from Dennis Farina. He's an accountant, very savvy with numbers, and he takes it from Dennis Farina, the mafia boss, to basically give it to the poor people, whoever these poor people are. I don't recall now, but uh, he's got a number of bounty hunters after him, and they're actually after Robert De Niro as well. So it's a sort of a cross-country buddy movie together, even though they don't particularly like each other. But
Yeah. Brutal like each other though. Very much like other films like that, like Trains, Planes, and Automobiles is much the same, isn't it?
yeah, exactly. Um, very good action, very funny, and yeah, it was one of the best movies of that kind that I think that's come out, or at least in the 80s and 90s.
That was 89, wasn't it?
88, I think.
Right. Uh-huh. Um, let's move on. I want to ask you your opinion on this. A wee question for you. Go throw it at you. Um, what is your opinion? What's your favorite way to enjoy a movie? On DVD or on a streaming service like Netflix?
I haven't bought a DVD in years, Karen, so I would say
Well,
Netflix.
I'm the same.
Yeah,
Or Sky or whatever you use, like, you know.
I mean the ultimate is to watch it in the cinema though. I'd rather watch a film in the cinema
Well,
than watch it on
I
my laptop.
absolutely agree. You know, there's nothing like the cinema, you know.
Yeah, and I have a habit of pausing the movie if it's on the laptop as well and going and doing
Right.
something else.
Yeah. Would you, if you were on like the likes of Netflix or whatever other streaming service you use, would you play it through the TV usually, or would you play it through the laptop?
It just depends where I am. If I have a TV I can watch it on, I'll put it on the TV. But if I don't have that option, the
The gaming
13
devices
inch
are very good
screen.
for playing through the TV, aren't they?
Sorry.
The gaming devices are excellent for playing it through the TV and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, the PS4 has a media player now. It didn't for first year or so, or first couple of years of release, but they released software for that, so it plays music and videos now, which is
It's pretty cool.
yeah.
Just did you hear there just recently? Of course, Gamescom was on this week in Germany, but did you hear the news recently that they're going to make the new generation consoles backwards compatible now?
Right. No, I didn't hear about that. I know it's something that people always request, and Xbox One I think are doing it, but PS4 they've decided not to. But the reason they're not doing it's just just without people asking or requesting it is it. I think the original PS3 had backwards compatibility. Then Sony realized there was a market for reselling these classic games through downloads.
Yeah, yeah.
So they took away that functionality. But I think it's one of these things ultimately that people like to have or would like to have, but
Mm.
they may not use it that much. Then in the end.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
They would just like to
I
have
would
the option.
imagine,
But that doesn't mean they're definitely going to utilize it.
yeah, I would imagine though that the likes of Twitch TV and stuff. If you want to stream games that you would have not been able to stream that you played on Xbox 360 that you couldn't play on Xbox One, for example. You can do that now with backwards compatibility, but maybe that's not one of the things you can do.
Right. Yeah. Well, another thing is not just playing the original games, but what they do now is they re-release them HD, where they smooth over the graphics and they add a few wee things here and there, which is, some people might say, or you could say it's a bit lazy.
Yeah,
It is in a way, but I do still enjoy it regardless of that. Like the re-release of Grand Theft Auto 5 on PS4 and Xbox One. I wouldn't call that a lazy port because they did an
that's
amazing
right.
job
And they
graphically.
went to town with that one too, didn't they?
Yeah, that's actually a good example of where they did a very good job in updating it.
Something that
Other
I
ones,
haven't played the Xbox One version, but I've seen clips of it. It looks very, very good.
yeah. I remember in PS2 as well, there was an option in the settings where when you're playing PlayStation 1 games, you could smooth the graphics out a little bit. And it did make them look less pixelated, and the games also loaded faster. And the differences were, kind of negligible, but at the same time, it's nice
Yeah,
to have.
yeah, exactly. Before we wrap up for the night, you look tired. You look like you're getting tired there, John. I wouldn't want to keep you out of the
You just can't keep up with me, Kieran. That's all.
That's it. You're too good. What was I going to say? Okay, well, want to ask your opinion of the whole Arnold Schwarzenegger being involved in WWE 2K 15 or 16. Sorry.
Yeah, that came as a total surprise to me. I just saw the YouTube video on the Facebook feed, and
Yeah. Hey, he's actually.
they recreated the scene from Terminator 2 where he goes into the biker bar. He says, "I need your clothes, your boots, your motorcycle." It was fun to see, but if you watch that and then you watch the original, you see just how much he's aged, and that's
Annoying too in ways, yeah.
yeah. I mean, he looks good for his age. He's 68 now or something, but that's 24 years ago you're comparing it to. So
That's it, well, John, any other things you want to bring up before we wrap up for the night?
um, let me have a quick look at what's in the cinemas now.
Okay.
Oh, we could talk for another hour, Kieran, but
We could, because that's the thing about movie fans. Really, we both have similar interests, so you can't do that with. That's why it's very important to get buddies that you have good interests with.
Yeah. Nothing else then, Kieran?
Nothing on my list anyway. I've kind of jotted down a few things before we started, and nothing really. Well, we'll get more topics for next time we're on air. Probably go for next Sunday night if you're up for it, if you're free.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, John. Keep it real, dude, and we're gonna sound out for now, everyone. And hope you all have a nice Sunday evening and a good week ahead, folks.
Cheers.
Good luck, John. Movie Zone over and out. Yoster over. And out. Thank you, John Shortall.
Cheers, Kieran.